And this one also has a red line.
It's on?
Yeah, that's on.
Very good. All right, here we go. So we're holding on the Tov Lamed Tes. So this is today's Kofei Tamuz. Well, Kof of Tamuz. Hemshech Ayin Beis, Chelik Aleph. On Tov Lamed Tes. Diva Maschu Vayorach Hashem Aswayach Anichoyach. And it's be'emtza Omid Tov Lamed Tes. Right, so we saw the bio at the Mashal Gemara Shebas Melech Shehiricha Tzike HaKadeira, and that was the Reach HaMeishif as a Nefesh. We saw that was it was Mitad the Bira and the Tzutzos of Toyu, and we saw that the Reach HaMiti comes from a Dor Chodiv, but that was the union from Pseilus, a shefa which is Nisha Shiroya Kideiro, Stade Kideiro, and that's Nisha Mea Bishol, when that's Mishchameim, then it leaves a very strong Reach, and it was that there was Davkia the Reach that she was Misavel Azeh Kideiro Lahoshiv Es Anefesh. And we saw that was the Bira at the Peselas Hashefa Shenisho Nimshach Nofa Lamata Mitad the Nephilas Netutos or Nephilas Hashefa the Toyo. And we saw the Bira Milmaila Lamata Barich is somewhat in the previous source and then in at the beginning of this source. And then we saw the Inin the Aveda which is Mitzad the Inin from Shemban, what does the Aveda al Pitan Vadas, the Bira Davke of the Nef Shabban sending the Tutzits for Shanoflu B'Tayum. And we saw that that's the Inin of Aveda which brings Ta'ava al Pi Murgash al Pi Hargoshes Atzme or Mitzad Ze Yochel Yesh Inin HaAchiza. And we shall also going to get to the Malachim Alyonim, and that's all connected with the union of Shemban. We saw Shemban as Bekimatcha Behema, but also the union from Yeridas Hashefa Lamata Babiyah, and particularly the Pseilus Hashefa, which is Nofel to Asiya, and into the union eventually of the union of Noiga. So that was the union of Hiricha. The Reach, the Tzike HaKadeira, והיינו באמצע העמוד, היינו מה שהועילה ומסברה מהרפ"ח ניצוצס דתיו, ששורש מבחינת גבורס עליונס דארץ דתיו, שיש בהם חייס רב בתקוורס חוזר ביוסר. שמפני זה לא יוכלו הכלים לסבול את האויר, ונופלו לה למטה. ובנפילוסן למטה נעשו בחינס רשפי אש החויים הקושר ברוצן חוזוך ותקף גודל. We saw that was the union of choyim akosho, and that's gevulis kosher the ban the noiga lamata. In other words, the union from taiva selam hazeh dafke berishpeish and the choyim hakosher, which is dafke in tanugi elam hazeh, like it was maram a bit earlier, that the tanugim haraya in elam asiya lamata noflu from the tanugim of Gan Eden dasiya, the lower madrega of Gan Eden Atata in Asiya, which is the infantine Gelaki of a mitzad the shefa shenisha mizeh, but noflu od lamata then you get Tainuge Olam Hazeh, and the Klolos Psilos of the Shefa, Shenimtze Lamata, that's ultimately the Inin van Neugele, the Inin van Shemban, which brings to the Neuge Lamata in Olam Hazeh Tachte. So we saw that the Alter Rebbe, we saw that the Rebbe is Madgish that the Inin van Toyu is Gevulis al Yoinais, the Eres to Toyu. That's what the Alter Rebbe is Mavaya in Torah at the beginning of the famous moment, Pasha Noach, about the Hoya Kola Oretz. So for Achaz, what he chodim when he get to the Dera Floga. And he's masba over there that was shy to the Inin van Spirits, the Toyu. And he writes that what we have the cloud Oirois, the Takifim in Toyu, that they were Oirois. Taki Chazokim and the Kelim were Mu'otim, Oiros Takifim and Kelim Mu'otim, and we say in Tikkun, it's the Inin van Oiros, Tafkin and even for Chaloshes, Chushes are here. And the Kelim are able to be Mekabel. The Alter Rebbe is Mazba, that lotion of Tekifes Ha'eres Tetuyu, well, that's the Inyan HaGvuris, the Ike, which was, as you might call the Nakuda or the Koyach Achorei Kora Inyonim of those Oires, which eventually split, as you might say, or burst the Kelim into the Yecholes, or the Kelim Lekablam, or that was the Inyan from Gvuris Alyoines. In other words, that we see that the Inyan HaGvura is Tikbeiras HaShefa. Sure, Inyan Gvura is Davka Inyan from Mal Yusa. That the Shefa is Nimsha mitzad the Atzmus Samashpia in even Naila Yesa than it is when it goes purely mitzad Inyan from Chesed. Because we say that Chesed is a Inyan of Kriros, a Shefa which is Nimsha almost B'der Mamela. The Ilu, the Inyan from Gvuras comes Davka mitzad Teikim. Ha'Yisraelis in the Mashpia to give forth a Inyan from Oyer. Well, then it comes with Kifas Ha'oyer, and that's the Inyan from Gvuris Alyoine. What B'Shorshim Atzmi, that's a Maila, not a Chison. But the way it was in Toyu was that the Oyer was so great in the form of his galas, B'Teikev, Mitad the Mashpia, and a Klolos Musik of Kelim weren't able to be Mekabel. Now listen to the equivalent. Not that you had Kelim Tanim, and that there were a possibility of being Kelim Gedolim. Now, the whole concept of Gvul and Kli wasn't able to be Makabel as our Oyer. Therefore, the Kelim, Noflo Lamat, Mitzad I Yecholtam, Lisboel, is in a Gvulis, a Tkifis, a Gvulis, a Kedeshis, or Elienes, a Elusha Oyer, in the Oyer, the Toyer. And the far, the Kelim weren't able to be Seivo, and they were Noflo, Ubenafil Osam. Since the Kelim were Neufel Amata, then we have to say that the view in this Orinen is that the Netzutzes were Nish Shora B'Teich HaKelim, as well known. That when the Kelim Noflu, his nemesis was Nofel, was as it were Chelke HaKelim. Why is it called Netzutzes to Toyu? Because in the Kelim was Nidbat Netzutzes of the Oyer. In other words, that the Teikev of the Kelim and the Inyan of the Kelim Shenoflu, what they become a Inyan from Teikev, a Taivas, but Teikev a Inyan the Neuge, B'Zeh HaOilam, or that's mitzad the Netzutzes of the Oires, we have to say. Because that Kifas is Dafki in the Oires, not in the Kelim mitzad Atzma. In other words, that the Kelim in Yoram is Adar Nafila. If Mera Yesh Lema at the Inyan of the Nafilas are Kelim, their Inyan is the pull towards the Inyan of Ban, what Ban is Begematria Bahema, to Dafka pull to the Inyan of Matthias Olam Hazeh. That's the Inyan of Kelim. Of the Tkifas of the Oyer, which is a Mitzad the Yerida of the Kelim, be a Inyan from Gvuris Koshes the Noiga, Once we'll see that there's a birur alidei the nefesh elokis of the Adam, then we'll see that those nitzutas become dafke amayla mitzad the toikif and the gevulis of the earth. So that's what he says now, that the toikif are the gevulis koshis, the barots and chazor, the toikif godel, shehem b'chinas gevulis koshis the ban the neger lamata. Well, that's the Indian of how the kelim noflu within the tzutzis, and they become what you might call the bren of toyu kan lamata b'olam hazeh. Alidei biro, what the Indian from biro is not mavur, he's not mavaya beprotius. Was it the Indian of biro? It's well known. The biro is mitad the chokhmah of nefesh elokis of the Adam Dafke. Well, that's it. Mitzad the Indian abitul b'chokhmah is bariru. Dafke mitzad the bitul klapei the kavona elyoina. They're not able, as a word, to be mishachid and to be toifes the oir which is nidbak in the shivrei akeli. And then what happens? Nasa bohem harotzoi gam chein b'chinas toiker. Or then the shivrei kelim. They become then in a even from Rotzoi. Pink to say we Lamaila, the Irish were in a even from Rotzoi, as is well known. Mitzad the Nitzutze ha'oyer, which are nidbokim in the Kelim, and therefore they stand and they come now through the Gila, the beetle of Chochmah from the Nefesh elokis, and they hear what is the Kavana Elyoina Davke, so therefore there's an inin of Rotzoi, but that's also a B'teik of Godel. The Gvulis which are in the earth return as a word to their Shorish in Kedusha, and Mamela comes in them a Rotzoi B'teik of Godel, Ukemoi V'ra Tvuish B'koyach Shor Davke. But that's always brought in Siddur, that's a Maila, those are the Toisefes which comes into Kedusha, mitzad the koyach shoya. In other words, koyach shoya is Shem ban, but that's the Yerida and the Nefila of the Netzutzis Lamata. But the raw of Tvuis, that's the Toitzoa, which comes out in Kedusha, Ayin from Toisefes. Pink the Zivya Tavu as a Dosha Shenikmatli Achri, the Shtadlers of the Adam to be Mchmia, the Tvuis. But then it comes a new Toisefes at the Ayin from Roiv Tvuis. That's Davke Alidei Zeh Nasa Mehem Reya Chazak Lahoshiv Es Anefesh B'Pchinas Toisevus Oyer V'Chayes Chodosh Mipchinas Oyeris Tetoyu Shelamayla Mia Atiku. Well, that's L'chera. If you read those sentences and you see that there's a jump or a shinui in the Lashon, at the beginning we spoke about Kelim, and we said the Kelim weren't able to be Seivel, and the Nefila was in the Kelim. The Nefila Lamato was in the Kelim. And then all of a sudden he talks here about the Inifan Oirois de Toyo. Shalamayla Mea Atikin. So, I mean, Lav Reisha Sefer. And we talk about the Kelim, and with the Oirois. Elazar appear that in the Indian, the Kelim was nidbak the Indian Oirois. The Bira is to be mal of those Oirois. In other words, through the Bittel El Kavona Elyoina, the Oirois are able to return in a Tnua from instead of Yerida V'Achiza in the Kelim. Now, Dakin even Aliyah B'Lamaila and an Aliyah B'Rotzoi Godel. In other words, they want to go back to their Shoros. So yesh lema adasa de'inim van oiros de toyu bekelim de tikka. Now my word down in the Kutiter and Harvey Mekim is called drushim from the Rabbeim, and what the Rebbe said that's all available before these scholars of Moshiach. It have the oiros of toyu bekelim de tikkun, meaning that alidei the aliyah of those oiros l'shershom. But since in Yonam is now that they've been misbarer through the Inim from Chochmah, the Nefesh elokis, therefore they're able to go back to the Shorsham and then be nimshet be'evena anochin, and then the Kelim, alidei that avoida, the Kelim of Voilam Tikun also, Nasim Rechovim, Yechelim, Lakabel, so the Toyu. Therefore he start over the Indian von Kelim and he finishes with the Indian von Oiris, because that's the Amitis at Toitzah at the Bira. That the Oiris, the Toyu, Shelamayla is the Tikkun, and Nimshachim into Tikkun. Kamei Adova Hachori Vakoshe, just like we saw it in the Tzike Kedera in the Moshul, Kishanefach, Latam Toiv, Orev, Lanefesh, Ariyesa, Olochosko, Miachalishus, Piyesa. Even though it's not really a Dova Mosuk, and it's not really a Dova Orev, but when there's a Indian from Chalishus Piyesa, when there's been the Indian from Nafila into the Indian from Chalishus, but that's mitzad the Riboy Ha'elomis in the Nafila, once there occurs the Indian, the Chazorah of the Oiris and Nidbokim, L'Shorsham, and then they're Nimshach into the Kelim, the Tikkun, then that causes Uflebenish, I say Ufgeleikkeit and a Tesefes Koyach in the Klolasinian at a Kedusha, Dafki in the Indian from Oiris the Toyu, and a Nimshach into Tikkun. Okay, Moya Dova Achori for Kosher, Kishanepach, Latam Toyu, V'Orev, even though mitzad etzem minyon, it's not Orev in the normal sense. Not saying even Tikboira is even Gevura, like we said before, but it's Nimshach into the Indian of Tikkun, and then it causes a Shinui and a Mailer and a Malusa in the Klolas in a Tikkun, the Klolas in a Kedusha. But that's the Indian for La Hachaziko, La Hachayosa, from the Indian from Chalishas. So the Indian from Chalishas, we have to say, first of all, the Tikkun of Bechlal, Indian from Chalishas. We have to say that the Chalishas, what he means here, is mitzad the Yerida of the Oiris, the Toyo Bechlal, into the Indian of Nafila Befrat, but Noigelamata, and then they become an Indian from Helen Esther, and that causes in the Amshocha from Malchus, but that's the Bas Melech Sokotov. But that causes in the Amshocha from Malchus, an Indian from Chalishas. Okay, he says, Heipach HaGvuris HaKoshes Tanoiga. It picks the Indian from, I'm sorry. Okay, Heipach HaGvuris HaKoshes Tanoiga. Similar, if we take the Indian of the Gvuris Kosher and we're mahapach them to the Indian from Kedusha, then they are machaye from an Indian from Chalishus. The Af Begvuris Elyon is the band of Merkova. Yaho Elyena, the Pnei Aria, Pnei Sher, the Kedusha, the Bitla Yeshli Ayin. Shezo Prince Agvuris, the Teu Shekodem Le Tikkun. So I said, similarly we find even not just Lamata in the Indian at the Gevurish Koshes, how they are in Noiga, but I feel in Lamaila we also find it, but that's well known at the Indian from Pnei Adia and Pnei Shoyer, they are in the Merkova Elyoina. They're also the Indian from Oiris the Toyu in a certain stage of their Nafila Lamata, the Mitzad Shviras HaKelim, and that's why those Chayas at the Merkava are in such a tremendous rotza, in such a tremendous taker, Lalis Lamaila. And eventually we see that the Indian from the Chayas Noises, Es Akisei, they're able even to elevate the whole Indian of Malchus and the whole Indian from Oilam Atikun, the Kabul, the Eres of Toyo, Yim Moshku, the Toy Indian Atikun. Amamila, that's how it is in the Elamus Shalamayla, similar to how it is in the Hifuch of the Gvuris of Noiga, in the Biro, how it is Mitzad the Adam Lamata. In a similar way, I got that Indian of the Merkava Elyoina, but that brings the Oiris, the Toyu, which are Nimshach into the Indian of Tikkun, and that's through the Bittel of the Yeshla, the Bittel HaYeshla Lo Ayin. In other words, that the Shleimus Sabiro, Afilo Polamata in Noiga, is through the Indian from Chochma, like we saw, Mitzad the Nefesh Elokis in the Adam, and that Aveda, the Nefesh Elokis of the Adam, well, that's Mitzad the Bittel Elakavona Elena, that's the Indian from Chochma. It closes this the Indian from Bittel HaYeshla Lo Ayin, Bittel Yeshusai, Ela Ayin de Chochma, the Inyan van Amitis, Akavona, Vukulu. Well, that's also the same Inyan, Lamaila, Panei Ari, and Panei Shoya. There, the Shoya showed the Nefesh Abam is the Toike of the Nefesh Inyone, and Nefesh Abam is Lamaila, Kiyadua. And Alidei, what the Mensch Lamata is Mevatel, Nafshe Abahami is, then he causes also in the Makova Aliyena, also that Inyan from Aliyah, till it becomes a highest noise, Esakisei, and that's the Inyan of the Amshocha, the Eures Toyu, in the Kerim, the Tikkun, Shizel, Prinas Agvulis, the Toyu, Shekoidem La, the Tikkun, or that Inyan of the Bren, what there is in the Pnei Ari and the Pnei Shur, the Toike. Well, that's the Toike for the Inyan Atoyu, of Alidei, the Heifer, the Inyan from Noigamata, in the Vedas Adam Lamata, then he causes that they also become a Inyan from the highest noises, but they become also a Keli to the Eures, the Toyu, and to be Mamshik, those Inyonim Arayam, Mitzat Kavona, into Tikkun. Sheyesh Bezeh, Yisron Maila, Migufa Hoyer. It is in that a Yisron Maila than the Gufa Hoyer, the Etzem Oyer Kamoishahu, Mitzad Tikkun, then that Maila which comes from the Eures to Toyu, that Oyer which comes from the Eures to Toyu, has got a Maila over the Gufa Hoyer, how it is in Tikkun. V'harizeh Machazik, Kaviyochel Leiv Adam Ha, Elyon between us Tosefus Rab, he said that's the Amshocha, the Eres the Toyu in Kalim the Tikkun, but that brings a Inyan of Tosefus Rav into the Leiv Kaviyochel of Adam Elyon, the Chizuk Alev. In other words, that there's a new Toikef now in the spheres of Atzilus, in Olam HaTikkun, Mitzad the Amshocha, the Eres the Toyu, which were oile l'shorshim through the birur of the Natzutzet Alidei, the beetle of the Adam Lamata, begins Chokma of Nefesh Elakis. And Mamera, that's the Inyan of the Basmel, she couldn't, she wanted Dafki, that Reach, in order to Lahoshi, or rather Dafki to be Toyam from that part of the Kedera, in order to be Meshiv Esa Nefesh. Mamera, Zeu Sha'oma, she Richa, Tzichei Kedera, the Bas Melech Hilo, that's in from Malchus to Atzilus. Kishi Yoredas Lamata Bebiyah, when the Yeridas of Malchus into Biyah, she begins Chalishus, or that's the Moshel of the Inyan Chalishus, that when Malchus sends all the Eres down into Biyah, then they become a Inyan from Chalishus, but that's the Inyan Ukamaima Lechi Umiati Atzmei, that's the Bavuster. Lashon in the Gemara Masechta Chulin, but get to the Miyutaya Reach. So there was Kaviyocha Kitrug on the part of the Reach, and she said, "Efshel Shnei Malachim shemishtamshu bekeser echad," and the angel said, "L'chiyu ma'atiyatat atzmei." So it's mavur. And instead of that was really a Inyan which was really a chelik of the Kavana El Yoina, and the whole Inyan of that Kitrug, it was like a Asiba Meito is Borat, that we should be able to say to Elochi Me'atiyas Atzmeich, Kitavki through that Inyan of the Yerida Lamata, there'll be this whole Inyan of the Birah HaNetzutzes, and through that will be a river, Godel, Afila Legabi the Moir HaElion, the Moir HaGodel, how is Nisha Ba'atzilas V'chulu. Mamela, that's the whole Tachlis of Elochi Me'atiyas Atzmeich, that's the Yerida, the Shefer, from the Lavona, from the Areach, or that's Malchus. Yeah? Well, that's the Inyan from the Lechi Me'atiyas, that's make that go down to be Machaya and to be Mishaleh Tachayis into Elamas B. V'gam Yochel is B'chinas Choyli. There can even be not just a Chalishas, nor even Choyli, Ayin van Helem V'Ester, Mitzad Ribuy Ayalomas V'Esterim, to V'marid Madregas Atachtoinas, Einem Yochelim Makavu B'chinas Ha'enega Ha'elyon. Because Mitzad the meaning from Malchus, but not Pnimis Malchus, that's the meaning from Ha'enega Elyon. On the contrary, Malchus is Meir in Gan Eden Elyon, and that's the meaning of Ha'enega. When it goes down in the Ribu Yeridas into the union of Biyah, then the whole purpose of that is to be Ma'ira and Mavara, or those inyonim, how they were noflu, mitzad the Peselus HaShefer, they were noflu lamate. Remember, that's the inyan from Lachi, Umayatiyas Atzmei. וגם יכול להיות אפילו העניין של חוילי, not no מיעוט, אפילו העניין של חוילי, אין המייחל מקבל מבחינת העניין והעלין, אך בירידוסו, דווקא in that ירידה of Malchus into the עניין הביאה, הרי היא מבררת בירורים בנגד הביאה. In other words, there's two inyonim in the whole inyan what Malchus is machaya biah. First of all, there's the etchim meaning what the chayas is nimshach, lahachis is anivroim, and then in the inyan of that chayas and the tachlis of the inyan what Malchus is mamshik that chayas into the nivroim, there should be biyachel tom lahalis is kol inyan ayirida. If we take the Yam Shocher from Malchus, and as the saying has it, is time late to Sarain in Keshen, as time we put it in our pocket and we just live a guten Tag, as they say, then that's not the Kavanah, that causes the Yin van Helen, Vahester, Vachalishas, Vachulu, Vachola, Inyonim. But if we makabel the Chayas as it is, it's at the Kedusha. And we know that the Kavanah from that Chayas is that we should be in a that were given the highest by the Eivishter to do something with them. We have a tafkid and a tachlis in the Kabbalah's HaChayis, or that's the Amitis HaKavona in the Yeridus HaShefer from Malchus, is Levara Beruri, tafkid to be botil to the Kavona Al-Yena Mitzad the Kabbalah's HaChayis, V'zeu Shirichet Sicheke Teira, that the Chayas from Malchus, after Lamata, Bezeho Ilam is Mariach the Peselas of the Kedera, of the Shefer, and that's the Inim Masha, all Reach Chozak Mipchinas Biruri Rapach, with the Rapach is Inim from the Tutzita, the Toyu with the Oiros are Chlulim by him. Shanofo Lamata, Shazo, Mipchinas Apselas, Ta'atzilas, who Sha'ila Mipchinas Choizer. It goes back with the Indian Toikev, like we saw the Indian van Oyer Choizer, that Rotzoi, Elyon, what occurs mitzad the Oyer Anidbach in the Kalim, where it has this Rotzoi to go back to its Shoresh, and eventually it reaches the Shoresh, and it brings the Toyu, the Oyeres of Toyu, mitzad the Kavana Elyon this time, back into the Kalim of Tikur. Amamera Nimtzal Fisa, and a Chude Nifloa. What do we receive chayas for? The whole tachlis, why we live, and the whole tachlis for us Ayin is do in the world. Why Malchus gives all the chayas, and Malchus sends down all the inyonim, Maila Lamata, to be machayad the nivroim from Biyah, is all kidei. We should take the chayas and use it for the ultimate tachlis, which is to make a diraloy is bara betach toinim. Every inyan is a inyan from Birur, from Halua, noch solche Sachen. So now that it's all been completed, Avshav Kol Inyanim Kvar Hushlamu, so man need to be machlis and to be mashlim the whole inyan alidei like it's mavur the two inyanim in the inyan from Iskalas or the inyan from Aliyas Anitutes. First of all, the oil, the mile, and the earth, the toyo nimshach in the kedim, the tikkun. But that causes a scholars and the people in the kedim. And then there's a inyan from the, like we saw, those who learned the echotza. I don't know if you guys learned the echotza in Lakut Titera, the famous man from the Alter Rebbe, where he attacks the inyan from Sinas Chinam. It's over there. He says there are two inyanim. There's the inyan from Iskalos Akeilim in Toyu, and then he said there's a inyan from the Oiros, what the Eros at Kifim, it's at the Toyu. For them to be Nimshach Beklaven, to be Nidbach in the Keilim, there has to be, as it were, a Yichud and a Bitl and a Iskalos in the Oiros Kufa. And that's Yesh Lema, that's the inyan Odioter Naila. That first of all there's the Ilui Alidei, the Etzem Netzutzes, Alidei, the Kabbalah Sachayas from Malchus. They were then mile all the Indian of the Nitzutzes, and that causes a gilu of the Eres to Toyu, Ubamela, Boif Masuyam also are Iskalulas in Tikkun, or it's not the Olamas the Iskalulas. the older Miskalas, when the Oiris themselves become in Azar even, that they're all Koil and Miskalu, one with the other, and they're all Nimshach, and even from Shleimas. Well, that's what's Mavur in Likutei Torah. Before Shavuos, you have not only the Avodah from Sfiras Ha'ima, but then you have the Shleimus in the union from Sfiras Ha'ima. Well, that's because the union of Shleimus of the Koilo, and then there can be a Yeridas Havaya Al HaSinai. So Yesh Shleimus, they're well holding by that right now. The union from the Birur, the Rapat, that the Rebbe promises that's already been done. You know, we are held by the Zweiter Union, the Union von Shleimus at the Koile, there should be the Vayera Davaya Al HaSinai. That's what that mind was from Likutei Torah, so Nageya, that the one thing that can be Mavavul is the Union von Midian, Klippus Midian, Rachman in Land, the Union von Sinat, Chinam Ukayetza B'zeh. In Melz of the Dover, Atzmi for the Liyuma there, even more than Amalek, came over in certain Drushim. And in the Zah Kodesh, B'miyucha. Yeah, the Rebbe said we're also being attacking it? Yeah, he said that? Where did you find that? Oh, yeah, in the president of Amalek, he said that. Yeah, when I get to the Indian from Midian? Good.
You should do obviously Israel now as a teamah for Yemot HaMashiach.
Good. Okay. So even that has been matukin. Yeah.
We read in the Torah that they wiped out Midian.
Oh yeah. That you're not familiar with Nach. What happened immediately after Yeshua passed away? Als je gaan meisen met Gideon, met Midian, als je komt in Midian betekent van Ki Otzum.
I thought they were completely
Lehilochen bij Israël met Amalek. Er staat Gideon van Amalek bij Emek met Kol benei Kedem, met die alle slecht. Vroeger toen, alle zijn gekomen. Er staat in de zaak, Miyad achrei Stalchus Yeshua, je komt in Midian weiter.
But Moshe Rabbeinu wiped them out?
Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu wiped them out. It was brought down that he only wiped them out by Issahar's man. But they were gezen van nieuw op his man dat. En het is maar zo van de man in de Likutei Torah dat het gezen van nieuw qua Yud Zayin Meir Shana. Dat schrijft hij altijd ook. De Indian van Sinus China. And the kunst zegt Galter was much more recent, that much more up to date even than the man. I don't mean up to date in the Teichen, or in the actual Amira. What they say, the Rebbe said to learn the Indian from Kuntres Chalto. When was it? Toshin Nun? Nunala, the Rebbe gave out the Kuntres Chalto. He said they should make sure in Barabi, in Musa Slamet. In other words, that the Rebbe was chosh, that the whole Indian from Klippus Midian has no house, got an Achiza Mesuyemet. Yeah, Eva Mera. That's the one thing that can be mavalbul with the union for Klippus Midian. And state in the Zohar Kodesh, all Ra, they state in the Zohar, in Pasha Bola, that all evil that ever happened to the Jewish people is more from Midian than anything else. I feel more from Amalek, because Midian is a stupa to Amalek. I state that in the Zohar Kodesh. In other words, that Amalek, because Amalek is Bepoel Mamish. He's when it comes down into Dibur and Maiz and Svelta. A Midian is the philosophy. How do you call it? Midian is the.
It's higher even than Amalek.
Huh?
Amalek, his Reish is going. Midian is even higher than
Well, I don't know if he's higher or he's.
It's more short.
Yeah, he's more sort of Dach Bayati. Romans sagen auf dem I don't use the word higher. I once heard from an Al Chassid, when you're talking about the Klippus, you mustn't say higher or lower. It's not a good word. Totally higher and lower. It does occur the Lashon occasionally. Higher and lower to get to the Klippus. He said, Befat to Amalek, you totally stood the word high, low. It's all close, Amalek. But they come in on. Anyway, suffice it to say, that we're holding Le'achrei this bureau, I'm now, although we're holding by a much for a beer, we have to bring the shleimusa. That's what he's mad about. Then the beer, the altar of a masbe. There's a hecher beer in the etzem the two the beer of the oiris of Toihu, that they should be mamish nim shochim betikun. Then they also have to undergo a certain hiskalas, a certain bittul b'teichatum. Afilu yachrei zeh mavuakan. And that's the shleimusa to koila. And then after that, yeah, ve'yer Hashem al sin hayemot is b'mezot yemot is yontov. Dik. So in the mitten dreit charaim midian. In the mitten dreit charaim. The meise mit midian. As I stated in the Zohar Kodesh, so Pashabola, that everything which is not good in Bayidin came by Emes from Midian. And that Amalek is never stated a very fascinating combination that the Bolach was also from Midian. He was on a sick Rashi brings, he was on a sick Midian. And she became Moabite. And therefore I would state that Bnei Moav at the end of Pashabola, the Zohar Kodesh, the Bnei Moav were just a failing. When Emes was Midian. It's also Midian. On the Bolach, it's if you take the Lamed Kuf at the end of Bolach, and you take the Ayin Mem at the end of Bilam, then you get a Molech. In other words, a Molech is a cross between Bolach and Bilam. And therefore the Arizal used to call Pasha Bolach Bilam. As they flip the roof of those. As they say, Pasha Bolach Bilam. Because the two go together. Das Alberinian, and das ist Midian, und von dem wird geboren Amalek. Aber Amalek haben wir de Pearl Mamisch, aber ich wäre nach, weil das ist gar gefällt. Aber Kila, der Fliebis davon ist Midian. Also ich stehe dort in Zohar Kodesh. Wie ich lese Beinen begolt sehr, weil Harig beselber, ein als Mann, ich habe Harig bedorim, mit Zeirim, we have to go in gute Sachen. Auch upon him is a birui rapat shenovel amata shezov mchinas apseilas ta'atilas ushaela mchinas oyer choiza. And it's all under oyer choiza is always, even though mitzad giluim it's b'chalishes is a kak mavur in the Kisvei Arizal, aber mitzad pnimius it's b'toikiv otzum, and that's the Indian von oyer choiza. And that's the Indian what Pagolui, what does she need? The whole Indian from the Raya from Tzika Keteras, a Paselas Keilu. And the Fabagolu is it, man does not. Aber Bepnimius, Raya Chazak, Hoshi, Vanefesh, Beis, Ochameva Yorach, Raya Begodo, like we find by Esau, that he had the Begodim. Big day Chamudes of Nimrod, what he stole from Nimrod, and Nimrod got it from Odama. Arishan Kiyadua. The big day ace of Achamudes, how you Mishurei Azayim Malachim to tell you. But the Azayim Malachim to tell you, then a feelers oirish to tell you, the feelers anitutus to tell you. Shalin is Baro Adayin. Shalin is Baro Adayin. Who gan came finished Hashmal, Haelyain, Shanof Lamata Bechet Eta Hada. So who's the will with them? Because the Eden from Beged is a Eden from Lavush. And it's well known that Hashmal is a Lavush. That's Mavur in Torah in the Drushim Falekhlach Beneget Tamila. It's Mavur the Eden from Hashmal in one level, how it is in Atzilas Kufa. And then in Lakota Torah, in certain places, the Alter Rebbe Masber, that there's another Hashmal which is Gura Hoicha Hashmal. That's a lavush which is malbish the Indian from Atik. Pnim is Atik in the Moichas. The Moabs go away Indian. And then there's another Hashmal, well that's a lavush. Well that's Mavo also in Hilchas Mila in Derek Mitzvah Baliches in the Indian from Mitzvah Mila. There's another Chashmal, but that's a lavush, a nimshach, lechitzainius amalchus, the Indian from the Indian from Sandal, the Indian from Malach Sandal, but that's the Dover HaMafsik, the Mafsekes, that he called the Parsa. A Mafsekes being a Tzilas Labiyah. And in Parsois themselves, there are numerous daggers. Over that Parsa is called a Sandal, it's a Av, which is Kilum, how do you call it, Manea, the Ashpoas Shefa. So in that Atzilus the Biyah. In that inyan, there can be a certain achiza in the inyan because it's inyan from Helem, and therefore it causes a chalishas in the inyan Agilui. Then there can be a certain inyan from Nafila in there. And that's what it means, that in the inyan from Chet Eitzadas, there was a certain achiza in the Chashmal Azeh, which later becomes the inyan from Malach Sandal, and that's what is over there in Dermatz V'Sachar and in Lekut Teter in Pash Tazriya. The Alter Rebbe dort marig in the inyan from Chashmal, when they get to the whole Hebdil ben Atzilus LeBiyah, he talks over there about the inyan from Chashmal. Chash and Mal, but Chash is the inyan from Shtika, Mal is the inyan from Dibur. There's two Hafochim. Well, that's the inyan, the Chash part of it, that's the Helem, how it is Mitzad Atzilus, those are the Yechoilas of Atzilus to be Nimshach. And that's the inyan from the Helem in the Parsa, and Mal is already the Ur HaCholosh, which is Nimshach Achrei Sandal or Achrei a Parsa. But that has a certain shaykhs, what needs a beer, a ketzad there bediuk, or is a shaykhs to the inyan from Chet Eitzah. There's a certain achiza because it's a Helem Godel. There's a certain achiza in the Nafilas Shefa from Elam Atuyah. For winning kois nois oyer the Adama region. That's what we said. The big day of Chamudas, they were Bemis from Adama region, and Nimrod got hold of them, and Esau stole them from Nimrod. Well, that's what's written in Bereishis, that after the Chet, the Eivishter made them kois nois oyer. He made them begodim made out of skin. What that's already a dover ha ava dover hamaymo master. Mashing in the Alter Rebbe brings in Tanit and Perik Beis that there was a levushe Adama Rishon koidem hachait. What they were made out of what's now similar to fingernails, like a very dark levush dark ma'id, which is at that time was on a very high madrega. But the achrim is it was a inyan from kois nois oyer, but that's mailam omastir, and that inyan from oyer with the ayin, but that comes mitzad or the Helem and the achiza of the sandal of the Chashmal, like his mother in there, with Chashmal in the inyan of the Yerida at a Chet Eitzah. Shali de abira oila la maila big vurish el yoinot. Aber wie alles so that is the inyan of a Helem Esther. But that comes mitzad the inyan from Malchus, mitzad the inyan from Gvuri. And therefore, there's a shaykhs to Esau. So of course, therefore, alidei the inyan from Biro, then there's a certain aliyah, afila from the big day Esau. That's what we find. That Yitzchak said, "Vayorach has rare begodo." Yitzchak saw the tremendous mile of pneumius that there is in these begodim, that they were really shy to Esau. But that's because Yaakov went and took them. Rivka took them from Esau and put them onto Yankee, but therefore he was rare as raw begodov, but that's in from Boyged also. They even Maraf in Anafila and Afro Pikain, he saw the rare Toiv and the rare Godlet there was in that. And Mamir that goes back in the Infanel Choiza, what does a Toike for Oyer, Shalamaylam Prinus Yosha. But that what is that Maila? Well, that's the Amshocha, the Eres the Toyu in Madregas Atikor. Bechain be your Dedas Amalchus. But he calls the band the noiga. Yeah, that's beklauding if in your readers Malchus. That's even in Elam Abriya, even now it is at the beginning of his Tauchelet. How much more so when it comes all the way down into Noiga, Lavare Berur in the Noiga. That's the Ike of the Hiricha as Tzigaka Kedeiro. Sheesh Bose, Oinig Niflo, Yesa, Miprinas Oinig, Ellen Shebachachma, Umidesta, Atila. But that's what we found in the previous Osparichas, that in the union of, we saw that was Tainug Be'ete, because that's Tainug in Dvarim Sheim, Shaychim lo Tainug, Mitzadet Milyona. Therefore we call it Tainug Be'ete, not Tainug Atmi, but Tainug, well, we didn't say Tainug Atmi, but we meant Tainug Be'ete. And this is another type of tainug. This is Ayin Nifla, which comes Davke from the Dover HaHofuch. And Davke, that's Mo'ira, Ayin from Reach. And that's Meishivas and Nefesh B'Yesa, the Amshocha, the Eretz Tatuyu Mamish in Kelim the Tikkun. Vezo Atam, Ve'asibo, Masha B'chinas HaMalchus, Mitzamtzemes Liyos B'chinas Melech Al-Om. Now we'll understand the whole reason for what's Beklal. Does the Eibishter make that you can't, ain't Melech Beloy, that the Eibishter wants that Dafke Malchus should be shaykh to the Ashpur, into Elamus Nifrodim, it should become Melech Im Om, Amalach Al-Om, Shazeu Yeridas V'Tzimtzum Godel, Liyos Kesef V'Roish L'Bi'ah, like it's put down, the Lashon Reish L'Shu, Shu Olim, ultimately it becomes L'Kof Ches, Shirufim D'Shem Eloi, Ki and it's one another, the last Mem Ches, they already shouted the Inen of, the Liyuma Zeh, with the ganze Inem, but that's the Yeridas Hashefa into Noiga. So I said to him, why do you even need that? What do you need to make us avil? Make a world where everybody's fine and boil. Make us avil. What did you make a world to Dafki with Kof Chestiruf and the Shemelakim and Malchus becomes our racial Sholim with the whole Indian. What they're going to do is, Shazau, you read the B'chinas Chochma, Shebedibu, Liyos Moche, Lehavis, or Lahachis, and Nivroim Balei, well, that's the Inen, what the Inen from Dibur. Aber hidden in that Dibur is the Inen from Chochma El Yoina. Lahavis Lahakla is Nivroim Debi. What is Mavurin? That's the combination of Chochma and Dibur. What that's Inen from the Asoram Amoris Tafke. What the Inen is, Mitzad Echad we want it should be near Nivroim. Aber Mitzad Sheni we want that there should be the key and the click inside that somehow or another we'll be able to get to them and be mahal them over. B'chazorah, what that's what we saw earlier, but that was the Yeridus of the Shefa from Malchus, that it's got itself like a T'nai. The Einachanam is Yerid and Mashpia, the Chayes, or hidden in that is a Kavona, that you have to use the Chayes for the right Inyan and the right Aveda. Similarly here, what's the whole reason why Malchus becomes a Melech Al-Am in such a way that it becomes shaykh to the Filah, the Inyan from Sirufin, the Shem Alakim, which ultimately they bring to Ayin Shal Biyah, how it is in an even for Noiga, what that is Masba now. Well, that's because we want it through the Yerida from Malchus Dibur, and hidden in that Dibur, the Iskashas of the Inyan HaChochma, that we should be able to make a Dira and a Seder out of this whole unbelievable balagan and mess which might know with the Zini van Elama as there with the Nafilas Pselas Shefa. The cause there who rak bishfil bira nege de bia shenofel shoma rapakne to teis. Now I make a come to is that the whole reason that the world's like it is was for that purpose, and that's a big chiddush of the Arizal. The Arizal said that the whole Inif and Klolas Inyan Abriya, but Klolas Inyan Yuridis, Kola Oidas, but Kola in Aishavas, Ad le Mokia Haki Elian, and Ad le Tzimtzum Arishan, was all for the Inif and Birahane and the Tzultais. It was all in order that there should be a Inif and Toyo, and Mitzat Toyo there should become the Inif and for him. Busy in the Indian from Noiga, what no, so the Indian from yes, like we saw bit like yes. Ela Ayin, but this is the whole Matachla, and that's the famous Torah Sarisa, that the whole Yerida was only the Torah Birana and the Tzultis. And the Chidish Otzum Noiro, Mishkali Day Malkenu Mishachenu, that that's already been Mistayim, but even Muslim is noch in Loima. שזה כבר הושלם. אבל רפונים זה עניין כמו שהוא עד לרגע מסוים, וזה שכוסו בתוכם בעיד לילה ועתיתין טרף לביצה. Wat לילה is the עניין von Helen by Esther, בתוכם בעיד לילה, that the עניין von Malchus, that we get up. That's not anything from Yerida. The ganze Kavana in them is it should be anything from Aliyah through the Indian from Teref le Beisa. So what is Indian from Teref? Teref is Bigamati Rapach Imakoilo. Shazau Yerida Samalus Bebia Levarabe Batokom Ba'id Laila. Really it's an Aliyah. The Kavana in them is the Indian from Bira. And so Malchus comes down and gives you your whole Indian from Chayas. And looks after you and says to you, grow up and be a nice person with the ganze Arichas Ayinonim als today is als oben Koyach, und so ist oben hidden in the Shefer Amal, the Indian from Chochma, the Indian from Bittel, of to Poil saying what you're really supposed to be doing. If I'm ever has the expression, have a Chavalo Ko, Chavalo Ko Rega, and the famous statement of the Friedrich Rebbe, what he said, Afos Vatman, what are we waiting for? V'chule v'chule. Stam sitzen in der Meshugana Gole. Stam, Rohide say Yadayim, ma nu chalas is, ma in yonenu bo, we'll hide our heads inside the Beis HaMedrash or Kayetze B'zeh. So we see that the Rahman in its land, the Welt losne. It's in its Toveya und Zuyek, aber so every stone, so later in the world, we have to save the world. And remember, the ein and einzige Weg is durch die scholars of Teres for Divrei Malkeinu Meshachenu bis Galuse Hamiyodiyas. Come over to Uposh. Auch upon him, die Ine von der Tochum bei Leila, the Kima in the Ine von Malchus, which is Be'etzem HaYerida, aber der Kavon ist dort die Ine von Akimo, und revealing the Emes Kavon, Tochum, aber ich kosse Bezoya, the Lashon Rebut in different places, and considers the Belaila Azlas L'Turecha Hashoicha. In the nighttime, Malchus goes to the mountains of darkness, but Turecha Hashoicha, the Nitzutis to Tuyu, how they call it the Inyonim, and why they call Tuyroi. Tuyroi is a mountain, because each one of them is like a yesh b'fnei Achme, the Nitzutis Commission Oflo, in the yeshes of Noiga. Or Mitamon Archis Mazena, from there she dafke, kleibt them, how they call it the Mazin. She dafke gathers together all the Indian of the Nitzutis, and brings them to their shoulders. What that's the Indian of Hirichet Tzikhe Kedera, Vachinas Reach HaKozik Me Biruri Ane, Nitzutis, what does it, the Emes of Mazin, which is Meishev Esa Nefesh. Vanim to the Indian are Reach, Ushanazim in the Tzutzut to you. Now, remember, Nimtzalof he said that the whole Indian Reach, which we've been adding at, we're trying to be Mefarish, already for several chapters, was the Indian from Reach, compared to the Indian from Achila. We already get to a certain maskana that the Indian from Reach is that maki for the Eures Tatuihu, which is Kavonotzim Lahamshikoisa, into the Kalim of Tikkun, like he says over there in the Kutadid, the Bira of the Indian Eures Tatuihu. Well, that's the whole Indian of Reach, because they are Indian from Makif, and they're Nimta. V'nimshach into Panimi. And remember, those are the Emes Indian, the Tachlis Arayach, that it should be mashpia into the Indian of the Kalim of Tikkun. And that's the Indian of Kamaima. Where are we? V'nimshach the Indian Arayach, Ushanase, Minitzutis Tateo. In other words, that's the Maila and the Amdocha of the Makifim Elyoinim through the Etzem Bira and the Tocham Bayit Laila, with Titan Teref Labesa, the Bira which occurs in those Netzutzes through the Amshocha of the Etzem Chayas from Malch. So just a couple of minutes more, and that's what he says, Be Oid Sha'areach U B'chinas Machiv. And furthermore, another view now, it's well known that the Indian from Reach, as we've been saying, Beklavas Dimin from Machiv, or Kamayim Sha'areach, Udov Shanishoma Nenami Menu Veloya Hagu. What the Gemara brings that Ezadova Shanishoma Nenas Memenu have a Oimazeha Area. That's the Indian of the rare Tafke. Because we see that the mensch doesn't chew rare, he doesn't eat it, he doesn't swallow it, goes into the body kilo and a knife and ruchni b'yesa, and it's machaya the Inyon Ruchnim in the mensch, the koiches elyoinim, without any nagia in the koiches atachtoin, like koiches haichul or koiches haguf b'klau. Therefore the Gemara says, bases on the posik, kol hanishoma ta'alel al kol tikrei neshama v'neshima v'chol. ולא יגוף, היינו שאין הנקנס בגוף בבחינס פנימיוס כמו המייכל, בדיוק like we just touched. שנעשה דם ובוסר קיבץ סורי, מה שכן הריח שאין הנקנס בגוף. It doesn't go, I mean it goes through the nostrils, but it doesn't go into the clay הגוף. מגיע בבחינס מקיפים דנפש דווקא, like it's brought down in the Zohar Kodesh, it's brought down that later the Rebbe is going to bring it here, the even the two nostrils that then the rat which goes through the nostrils, well, they reach into the inyan from Chaya or Chaya de Chayin. They reach the inyan from Makifin, the Makif de Chaya, and the Zohar Kodesh calls the Yechida Chayin de Chayin. In other words, the inyan from Yechida. It's interesting, if I'm not mistaken, Davki, the left nostril, that's the one that reaches into Chayin de Chayin, Davki, through the inyan, like we see here. The inyan from Chalifas of Toyu, well, that reaches right into the inyan from Makifin Sheba Nefesh, with the whole Arichas Badova, and that's one of the Tamim why a Reach Chozik is ought to be Moyer and Mensch, because the nostrils, they are like a entrance into the what you might call the echelons of Chayas in a higher madrega by the order. So therefore said the Rebbe, that's the inyan from Makifim Sheba Nefesh, oder Chaya, oder Afilo Yechida. But you do the Eres, the Toyu, Ein Eres Makifim, Shalaylam East Lapshas Ber, yeah, Bekalim, in other words, just like the inyan from Reya, is Lamaylam a goof. It doesn't actually enter the goof by Pneumius. Similarly, the Etzim inyan from those Oiros of Toyu, they will Lamaylam East Lapshas Ber, we must be at the beginning of the year, that they're not that the Kalim Ktanim is the Pshat, that were actually Kalim Ktanim. But the whole inyan from Kalim was Koton, Lagamri, Meirochil, the whole inyan of Oyer, how it was in Toyu. And therefore he said that the inyan from the Oyer is the Toyu are Be'etzim Lamaylam Yislam, and therefore, like we must be earlier, they're a form of a Makim. Akamesh Kosef Makim Acher. Und sie moving Gamkein, the Reach, הוא מצד בירורי הניצוץ שנמשך על ידי בחינת אויר מקיף. What was לפי זה? That the inyan from Reach comes dafki מצד the inyan from birurim, being as it is our inyan from oir makif, which l'mayla mi akelim, l'mayla mi knisa el inyan akelim, which is the inyan from achil. So yesh loima that's a toisefes ikaris, but there are biur in what was the whole Arichas earlier. With the Hadgosha, that the inyan of Oirish the Toyu are dafki the inyan from Makifim, and the Reach is shot to the inyan of Makif. And therefore that's the inyan that the Hamshocher of the Oirish the Toyu into the Kelim Matikin of the Yichud of the Makif and the Pnim. Right, so we may as well, if we got that close, we may as well finish. We'll just read it quickly so that we can finish the chapter. B'zeh Maimad, he said, V'yesh gam kein b'chinas Reach, b'madregas de Tikkun. You shouldn't think that Reach is only shot to the Eres to you. No, I feel in madregas de Tikkun mitzad atzma. V'chol zehu b'chinas Makif. It's also inyan from Makif. V'ikar ha'Reach u'shebo midav ha'chorif, ha'inu anin, tzotzeis, ובאמס גם מבחינת הריח תתיקון הנ"ל ומבחינת הבירורים רק שזהו מה שנכלל בכלל wait a minute, I missed out on something, no? Yeah. מבחינת הריח תתיקון וכמוי, where do we see inyan from Reach in the inyan from תיקון? חמינה בריח לדבלו שייכו דהין הלבושים דמצווס. That the inyan from the levushim of mitzvahs which have in themselves the inyan from Reach. Well, that's referring to the famous story in the Zohar Kodesh. It's also Pasha Bolok. But that talks about the what's called the how do you call it, the Yenoika. But he met Rabbi Yosef, stated on Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Yehuda, I think it was, that they went out on a mitzvah. They went out on a mitzvah d'Afnos Kala, and it's written that they were busy the whole time with this mitzvah, and they met up with this Yenoika. And he wouldn't come up close to him, he kept away from him. So they said, what's your problem? And he said that Harichna Bereach Levushaychu Deloi Korishu Kriyashma Hage. He said, I can smell in the reach of your levushim. You didn't read Kriyashma. suppose we might as well let him sleep. He said, you didn't read Kriyat Shema, or you don't even help us out there, Reuven. We're talking now about the Raf and Levushim. So says the Yenega that you didn't read Kriyat Shema, if I can smell in the Raf of your Levushim. So it's interesting, Tafkin Levushim, the informative, I thought the Raf. So they said to him, we're also b'mitzvah. It's one of the Inyonei Hazeh, which also Nagia in Nigla. It's got a stach in Nagia in the Inyan for Nigla, because they said we were sukim ba. We didn't read Krishna, we were sukim b'mitzvah. Yeah, also b'mitzvah potem mina mitzvah. So he said, Afu Pikain. He said, I can't be miskari because you didn't read Krishna. They say it in the Zeh. So the whole beer and the whole pilpul was there. That from now we see that Krishna is a mitzvah klali that doesn't fit into the whole thing of a mitzvah podamina mitzvah. If you don't read Krishna, they lack you all the klolas of all the other mitzvahs. I was saying kind of lahari was I tell Dirk we the meaning for Nasa Benishma what led to the meaning in Kabbalah Satira. That's not actually Kabbalah Satira. Over Blizeh, the ganze Kabbalah Satira couldn't really function or get moving or be nimshach. The same thing with Krishna. If you don't read Krishna, Cholila felt the whole, moving. What the Rizal said that the day which you don't read Krishna, but Ayin is Eino Yochel Hamshich. If you didn't read Krishna with money, you're not charged to certain inyonim. Call Oisa how you the same kind of more Harig Bozeh. And we have to anyway, that's what he means by Chaminam Berichot Lo Shaychu, but that's all was in the mitzvah, so Kamoya Eva Hiricho Beyiratah Hashem, that's going to be by Mashiach. Also Ayin von Reach, but it's got to do with the Ayin von Tikkun, Yiras Hashem. Because it begins Maki, Veika Reach, who should bow Midola Chorev, I know Nitzutzes, when it comes to Reach, the Tikkun and Al begins at Birudim, says, oh, Masha Kfa Nichlau, begins at Tikkun. It's not still out there in it's already become the Toikev already in Tikkun. Avo biyasoida v'ikur mechinas abirurim the Toyo einachanam. Emer kunta is that the rayat that there is in Tikkun and in Kedusha it really mitzad birurim that have already been completed in Hushlam. The Klalachini and Arayach mechinas biruria gvuris Toyo there's gvuris yet afker. Therefore they have themselves a tremendous Toikev. For the elder be'ela or mamshik madregas alyenes aid and does it in from Reach Levu lo shaychu. If you read Krishna was man and El read we start to sein geht a gute Reach over the Yonaika he's out to pick up it that wasn't Mami said I feel that I had a terror I've got a terror. There were ganze people considered about that. The Rebbe Marshall got a whole piece about it in Tov Reichkopf, that's a whole big thing. And it's the Potamina Mitzvah, do this. The Rebbe's got about it from Rebbe.
That's why a lot of Rabbonim, they do tobacco.
Eh?
They do tobacco in their nostrils.
Oh, yeah, it's nicht gut. I mean, I don't even missen in that. Aber it's written that the Alter Rebbe said, mit Tornisch reinstuppen. The Alter Rebbe was very against tobacco. Yeah, very. That's why he broke the whole thing what they gave him, They gave him a matana of tobacco push. He took the lid off. So he could use it as a little thing for his tefillin. The ganze remind me another time, I'll tell you about it. Ganze Riechers in them. Not just the etzem goof from Eisen. There's a bisschen room in them. Ja. Auf die Alter Rebbe gesagt, man soll nicht reinstuppen, ka Taiva or ka Dova Chumri in the Kolin Shima Tahol Ko, the Inn at the Reach, which is Ayin Guf Nenis Mimen. He was very much against tobacco for some reason. Anyway, whatever. And Kanaman Harik. Yes, mit der Sender Meile Shivakol Hainyonim, Kol Inyonim, mit der nicht Cholile fallen in Kasinas Chinam, Chas V'Shalom. Is no Aves Chinam, no Libo mir einem, aber helping people out of their slough or whatever, helping sich allein out of his own slough. Aber drieke Aves Chinam. Das ist eine gute Teken von mir an, soll sein, der bin im Beis Amikdash Ashlishi. Als je door klaar in de loge kol pina shata poine lo tehiyu el liyamin. Whenever you turn, you got to turn to the right. So when it comes to another yid, if you want to turn, you got to always turn to the right. Good. Okay, have a good evening. And Beis Amikdash Ashlishi. My brother went yesterday on a tour of Yerushalayim. They had a most amazing time. And they heard a lecture from Meir of Anoni's Fati, the one that he made the model. He's made a model of the Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi, the whole thing. So they had a whole day of Mamish. Wees van de Kelim, wees van de Kelim, the Slavers, about the Beis Hamikdash Ashlishi. So, in that time with Slavers, the only thing they came back, they should have stayed up there. Wasn't good. All right, guys, have a good evening, and maybe something turn that off. Oh yeah, this is this chap you sent. Yeah, this